Hello and welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live and I'm Cyril Stober. Now, security is believed to be the wheel of progress that propels nations to greatness. Nigeria is not unmindful of this, evident with steps taken to address matters of insecurity. Just about a week ago, the Islamic movement of Nigeria, also known as the Shi'a, led by THAQALYN, was banned following a court ruling. The government could classify the group as a terrorist organization. Now, the group had been accused of running terrorist activities that include attacking security personnel, destroying public property, and continuously defying state authority that threatens national security. Now, a Kaduna High Court has granted the leader of the group, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaki, and his wife leave to travel to India for medical attention. But the court also ruled that they are to be accompanied by government agents to guarantee their return for the continuation of their trial. Tonight, we ask a few questions. One of them, where does one draw the line between fundamental human rights and acts that breach the law? Now, how well do people understand the consequences of violations of rights that infringe on national interest and security? I have with me here two gentlemen who will be discussing the issue. Let me go straight and introduce them on this program. Would like to welcome to NTA Tuesday Live Sheikh Salih Zaria, who is the Secretary General, RASULUL Azam Foundation. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Right, and we're also joined tonight by Sheikh Hamza Muhammad Lawal, who is Secretary General of THAQALYN Cultural Foundation. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Right, let's go straight to the issues bordering on the Islamic movement of Nigeria and national security. Now, this group, some claim that it came out of the revolution in Iran in the 80s, and but it would seem that the ideology over time has been to establish an autonomous nation within the country. And the recent activities of this sect, of course, have called for general concern. And it would seem that it is completely against the state of Nigeria. How do you explain this? How do you see this?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, maybe Sheikh Hamza is in the best position to talk about this issue, because he was a member of the Islamic movement of Nigeria.
All right.
I was never been a member of Islamic movement of Nigeria, but I can say I am in the center, okay, of the Shi'a ideology, and because of their adoption to Shiism, okay, the conversion to Shiism around mid-90s, okay, so they become I become their associate.
Okay, but first, maybe we might situate this Shia ideology which you talk about properly. The Shia ideology, does it run against, does it run counter to state authority?
Not at all.
All right.
Not at all, because we even some sittings. I also put some books and read it to general public. Unfortunately, to my little students or my little class, but the Shia ideology does not condone this kind of situation we are talking about. That's what we are arguing long ago, and we are writing to security agents. We are telling them this is the actual ideology. When you take the ideology of Shia, you cannot differentiate with the ideologies of Sunnah, of Sunni Islam, because the differences between Shia and Sunnah is like differences between Sunni and Sunni. So it's ideological difference, but there's a political aspect of what we can call the Shia, political Shiism.
All right.
So maybe this political Shiism is containing a lot of people, also converting a lot of people to think differently. So not necessarily Shia ideology.
Okay.
Well, take, for example, Hamas. Hamas in Gaza Strip, in Palestine, you see them there even carrying weapon against Israel, or they are struggling to liberate their land. But you can see they are thinking. Maybe some people may say like Shia thinking, but it's something to do with political issues. So in Nigeria here, I can say Shia is divided into two. In the general perspective of the people, there's a political aspect. That's what they look. They are looking in Al-Zakzaki's movement, and even they themselves, they are feeling they are the real Shia because of this perspective. But in a real ideological outlook of Shia and the teachings of Shia, there's nothing like a confrontation with constituted authority in the society. We have Shia in many places in the world today. We have even in Saudi Arabia, we have in Qatar, we have in Bahrain, we have in America. So many Shiites, they are there, but you cannot hear what you are hearing in Nigeria.
All right. Interesting. So now let's go over to Sheikh Hamza Muhammad Lawal, and it's interesting to find that you used to be a member of this group.
Yeah.
Yeah. So perhaps you would be in a position to enlighten us on how this group came about and the kind of ideology that it has adopted.
Yeah, I'm very happy, and I appreciate the fact that you've invited me today. I was a member of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria from 1981 to 2000. For about 19 years, that is. 2000 was 1 year after I returned from the Islamic Republic of Iran, where I studied theology. Now, 5 days ago, I had a press conference in Kaduna, where I was saying that IMN, which is the real name, is not a Shia. You have to draw the distinction, the line between Shiism and IMN. IMN and Shiism are neither synonymous nor are they interchangeable. In fact, they are mutually exclusive. And that distinction has to be made by the press. There has to be that distinction. Stop calling them Shiites. Call them IMN. Right? I said IMN started in the late 70s as a socio-cultural and political religious revivalist movement.
Okay.
Drawing its inspiration and taking its cue from essentially Sunni activists from countries like Egypt and Pakistan. It was an offshoot of the Muslim Student Society, and its birth coincided with the inception of the Islamic Revolution in Iran, which gave it a living and contemporary example of what it was yearning for. And therefore it got attracted and gravitated to its political message, the political dimension, not the theological or ideological dimension of the message. When the leader of the IMN, Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaki, became a Shiite afterwards,
Okay.
he fell into a dilemma
All right.
of either abandoning his Sunni revivalist movement and taking the and risking the possibility of losing his followers, or continuing with the movement with all its Sunni content but with a Shiite face. Right? He chose the latter, and that has been his undoing. Sheikh Zakzaki has not been able to complete his process of migration from Sunni activism to Shia evangelism. His movement is a curious hybrid, an admixture, a concoction, a dangerously unstable cocktail of incoherent and disorganized hallucinations and fantasies that only exist in their wildest dreams.
All right. So at this point, we have to understand that Sheikh Zakzaki was initially not a Shia
At all.
He was just part of IMN or something like that.
Exactly. He was part of the Muslim Student Society,
Okay.
which splintered
And then became
into the IMN.
right.
Yeah.
And so he grew with the Sunni ideology.
Exactly.
Then at some point he became leader Shia.
Yes.
And then as leader of IMN, he now faced a dilemma. He decided to abandon the Sunni
revivalist activities. Yes.
Or go straight with the Shia.
Exactly.
Okay. And so he chose to evolve something in the middle, which is neither here nor there.
Exactly. Neither here nor there.
So many people will find this confusing because generally when you see members of the proscribed IMN go around, they call themselves that they're Shia, there's a Shiite movement, and so we are saying today that they are not Shia.
Yeah. The IMN as a body, you have to differentiate between these two again.
Okay.
The IMN as a body, as an organization, is not a Shiite organization.
Okay.
It is a movement.
right?
Socio-cultural, political, religious. Yes, it is true that some members of the IMN are Shiites.
Okay.
But there are also other members of the IMN who are Sunnis and some more also who are Christians. Because it is a movement.
Okay.
So the confusion comes from the composition of the movement.
Okay.
Not the movement itself.
All right.
The movement itself is not a Shiite movement, but it consists of members and followers who are Shia, Sunni, and Christians.
I see.
So when you want to call them IMN, don't call them Shiites. Yeah, there are some of them who wear the regalia of the Shia clerics, but that is why it ends. They just wear it for public relations, for photo ops, and stuff like that.
So then, which ideology would IMN be pursuing or trying to entrench in a country that's governed by laws? That's the question many people would ask.
I think they made it clear in their site, also in lectures made by the leader of the IMN. It seems they were saying they are on the process of establishing an Islamic government.
Okay.
That's what they say. And you know, in the world we have this movement, this kind of movement. In Egypt, you have in Pakistan, and as he mentioned. So the Islamic movement in Nigeria is about a movement to establish Islamic system in Nigeria. That's what they say they are doing. But Shia Islam is a sect which is very historical. It's even, arguably we can say, it's even supersedes Sunni Islam. Before you call someone Sunni, you call many people Shia. Within the companions of the Prophet also there are Shiite. Okay.
And that is a very important point, please.
All right. Okay. Well, at this point, we might just as well make it clear that an invitation was extended to Ibrahim Gama, who is a member of this proscribed IMN. An invitation was extended to him to come to this program and tell us about what ideology they're preaching and why they carried on the way they carried on. Well, he hasn't been here yet. We expect that he will join us before this discussion is over. But returning to your point.
Yes, I was saying this was a valid point he was making. And it is also a very important one. We have to draw that distinction again here also. It's very, very important. The members of the IMN are not being persecuted because of their beliefs, because they are Shiites.
Right.
To be a Shiite is not a crime in Nigeria. It is a constitutional right.
So
it is not even an executive privilege.
So we can go straight and say that there are Shiites in this country today who are practicing their faith.
We are Shiites.
Good. And nobody has
we don't have any problem with any custom.
Nobody has stopped you from practicing your faith.
Nobody has done that. So the point I'm trying to make is that it is because of what their motivations are. and and also their vision and their goals and objectives. They see the system, not even a government. They're not particularly, detestful of any particular government, because they see the governments that come and go as part of our whole, which is the system. They call this system ignorance, that is Jahiliyyah. They call it un-Islamic, and their goal is to sack the system and replace it with an Islamic one. That is the original intention, right? Now, that was the confusion and the dilemma I said the Sheikh fell into when he became Shia. Because if he wants to establish an Islamic system now, and he is a Shia, and Nigeria, the majority of Muslims in Nigeria are Sunnis. Now, hypothetically, I'm talking hypothetically, I know.
Right.
That granted, it is secular. Hypothetically now, if he were able to sack the system and then he wants to establish an Islamic state, for instance, what kind of Islamic state is he going to establish? Sunni or Shia? I mean, it is just a fantasy. It is a dream. It is a hallucination, right? They are just confused. So this is what everybody should understand. It is not because they are Shia, but it is because of their posture, their position, and their attitude, their disposition. They are rebellious. Right. They want to sack the system. They want to replace it with the Islamic one. How they want to do that? They will tell you God will do it, okay, by miracle.
But you see this, why I say the whole scenario leads to a lot of confusion among the populace. And this is because for years, Zakzaki and his followers have carried out certain activities that were antisocial, anti-society, especially in Zaria. They went on processions. They prevented people from going about their lawful businesses. They did all kinds of things and broke societal rules. But there were other people who were members of this group, and no one spoke out against them. And clearly,
which group?
Yeah, the IMN.
Good, IMN, not the Shia.
Good, but they were Shia members who were part of IMN.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
They never spoke out against
your Shiism is subservient to your membership of the IMN.
So they sat back and they never spoke out against what IMN was doing then, and so the generality of people just lumped them together.
Because of these reasons, if you are a Shia and a member of the IMN at the same time, then you are more loyal. You'll be more loyal to the IMN than to the Shiism.
But that didn't happen in your case. You left.
It would never happen. I did leave. That was the reason. Why did I leave?
Okay.
I did leave. I'm a perfect proof.
Okay.
I'm a perfect example.
There's something very important here. Right. I want to clarify. The name Shiites identified the movement with.
Yes.
Originally, it was in the early 80s when they started the movement.
Right.
And it reveals the narration, the narrative within the Islamic society is an internal issue. So it's a name which is used to distance people from someone, because I'm a Shiite. He is a Shiite. 30 years almost converted to Shia. We are the first generation. So there's no Shia historically in Nigeria. So the other groups, they want to distance their people from the teaching of Shiism, then they start calling al-Zazaki Shiite. You can understand that when you go inside Izala movement, you see some people, when they have problem with Izala movement, they are within the Izala, but other scholars and other functions will identify them as Shia, would try to describe them as Shia in order to prevent people from listening to this name. They has taken it because of the vacuum in early 80s, because there's no Shia by that time, nobody is talking. But when we come close to them. We try to convert the movement, the whole movement, to the teaching, the ideas of Shia, the ideologies of Shia. It seems the leaders, especially Sheikh al-Zazaki, is reluctant. He understood this very well, and Sheikh Hamza is a witness to that, because he was there before. So you can understand from where the name comes. Originally, it's just from the vacuum. But now, when we come around mid-90s, or I can say early 90s, when we have started, we start contacting the government agencies, identifying ourselves. We have many letters. We wrote a lot. But the media and the lack of synergy between the government parastatals has led to make people to be reluctant, and to make the even the government before the Zaria incidents in 2015, even during the problem, they were thinking, even the army, they were thinking that all the ideologies IMN has is totally Shiism.
Okay.
But immediately they come to realize it's not true.
Let's look at the bigger picture of religious practice in Nigeria. And people are allowed to practice their faith is deemed fit, and nobody has interfered with all that. But how do you see a situation where a group, depending on no matter what kind of beliefs they have, suddenly rise and say the state is not recognizable and the country must go their own way, and they want to do it through undemocratic means. How do you see that?
Well, I think that you see, there are many dimensions to that question. Sometimes people overstretch their freedoms in democracy. I don't know whether there is a democracy with a big stake. That is one problem. Another problem is that the experts are not actually experts. The security agencies, the press, the politicians, a lot of them are stinkingly ignorant. And they are the experts, they write the reports, they give the recommendations and stuff like that. This you are just beginning to start, you are just beginning to be exploring and exploiting other avenues to unravel this problem of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, for instance. I mean, before now you are only calling the members of the IMN, and you are the people, the press. You, the press, gave them that tag, Shiites. Even as we speak today, they are still being called Shiites.
Yes, because some of them, just like you said in your opening comments, some of them, like the leader Zakzaki, felt, well, it was okay for him to hide under the guise of Shiism and perpetrate what he was doing.
But you never asked him searching questions.
Good.
And you never went to the field looking for other Shiites who are not Sheikh Zakzaki.
Yeah, but there were other Shiites who were within that movement who, they did not speak out against them. I mean,
they would never do that.
I'm sure you are not the only one who didn't believe in what El Zakzaki was trying to do, but the large majority kept quiet.
The reason
they are converted after the already the movement was established.
And the reason for that is that you can't go against Zakzaki so long as you are in the movement. It was a Hobson's choice. Take it or leave it.
So he established his own authority and was an absolute ruler.
You see, so you didn't have the chance to go against him. You needed courage to actually go against him, which I did, with all the consequences that followed, that ensued. But I tell you, a large part of the problem actually rests with the so-called experts, the press, the politicians, and the society at large. It allows these things to continue, and there are so many fault lines in Nigeria. Too many, in fact. Too many fault lines.
Religion has been exploited.
Not only religion. I'm just coming. There are so many vested interests. You have religion, you have ethnicity, you have tribes, you have regions, you have so what have you? I mean, look at the indigenous people of Biafra, for instance. In fact, there is a connection. There is a connection between IPOB and IMN, and everybody knows that, and nobody is talking about it. Things are just allowed. Things are just allowed to continue to degenerate until they spiral out of control, and then we start going helter-skelter looking for damage control.
Exactly.
All right. Now,
That's
what should be put in place to avoid activities such as what the IMN was doing, disrupting the public peace, seeking to forcefully establish their own brand of whatever, ideology they were trying to practice, and standing against constituted authority, which has led to destruction of lives and property. How do we stop things like this from festering?
one of them. We should look at the ecosystem we are living. As he indicated, our country has potential to boast, for people to become anything. So we need a strong security with very effective synergy, sharing of information. We practice our own Shiism more than 15 years to 19 years ago, and all our meetings and everything we notify security agents.
You don't have any
we are right
with the public?
I have all the copies here. We have we even wanted to even President Buhari, when he came 2 times, we were writing to him memorandum. We write. So far as the government and the security agencies are not up to date,
okay,
then we will have this problem.
But you spoke earlier of failure in so many institutions. Do you think there was a failure in intelligence gathering? Because at the time Zaki started manifesting that this was going to be a monster, no one really paid attention to him. He must have started at a small scale.
Because they didn't know what intelligence together. They are just so-called experts, but they are not experts because they do not know how to go to the core of what the motivations are. You see, in Nigeria, we just like addressing the consequences, not the causes. That is a big issue. And then secondly, we need counter-narratives, counter-arguments, public enlightenment programs, and schemes, policies, mechanisms. The government can't do it all alone. They can't be a Mr. Know-all. Right? Even now, we are just discussing about street protests. These street protests are just a manifestation of something in the background. What is that thing in the background? What is the ideology what is the vision? What is the motivation? This is my argument. I mean, what led these people to come to the streets to cause mayhem, to kill and be killed, to destroy public assets? Why are you addressing the effect instead of you to go to the cause? Right? It is high time we started this, public enlightenment programs, these counter narratives, these counter arguments. And that can't be from the politicians, it can't be from the press. The press has to listen. The politicians have to listen. The government has to listen.
Who will drive this initiative?
I mean, if it is IPOB, it should be the Igbos. If it is IMN, it should be the Shiites, and so on and so forth.
Some are saying this is coming a little too late.
Why? Because
the mayhem has been carried.
Because of failure of administration, failure of leadership, failure of intelligence gathering. They don't know how to harvest information and intelligence.
And I don't believe
they think they know.
I don't believe it's late. We can.
All right, for the purposes of clarity, is there anything you are Shia and you've practiced your Shiism for upwards of 19 years actually. Is there anything in your Shiism that says institutions of the state should not exist? Other people who have other faiths should not exist. Is there anything in it that says that?
Let me take you to, or remind you about a Sunni movement, which is now living example in Nigeria, Boko Haram. Boko Haram is a Shia organization.
Is it Shia?
It is Shia? No, it's not Shia organization, it's a Sunni organization. But what are they saying? What do they want? So the narrative within our community and the Muslim community need to change. We need to change attitude and behavior. And traditional rulers, they have tremendous role to play in this regard. That's why I see this kind of cooperation between government and traditional rulers is necessary to tackle this. They were asking me about this new crop and animal farmers. That's what I call them. Clashes. I say it's not new. It's just new dimension, new form. But it's an old problem in northern Nigeria, and our chiefs and kings, they have the way to reduce it to minimal level. You will not hear it. So if you want to take it away, if you want to remove it, if you want to go away with it, you have to involve these people. So religion is something to do with traditional people, something to do with people feelings. So the institutions of religion in Nigeria, they want to be like something like a pressure group. They want to pressurize government. They want to make government to do something. So I will say this narrative has to be changed.
I want to answer your question from
and the traditional rulers, they have the way to do it. So government has to cooperate with traditional rulers as I see it.
Okay.
Yes, I want to answer your question from a different perspective.
Right.
By saying that the question presupposes that the IMN is actually Shiite.
Right.
Which is not correct, which is not true, it's false.
All right.
The IMN, I said you have to make the distinction.
Yeah, it's only now that people are beginning to hear
So
that
that
IMN is not Shia, but all along
that question
they had
actually
that
is
toga.
wrong. It has to be rephrased.
Right. And
Because-
so many people did little to correct that impression
Because it
in
is
the past.
premised, your question I must insist, because I feel undermined as a Shiite.
All right.
The question
Yes.
actually is premised on the assumption that the IMN is Shiite,
No.
which is not.
What we are saying here is on the greater picture of religious practice,
Yes.
no matter the faith, whether it's Shia
Or
or not Shia, whether it's IMN or not, we're looking at the practice of faith. Is there anything to suggest that in any religion, if you like, there is something that says people who are not of the same faith must not exist, or institutions of the state must be,
Okay,
done away
to
with?
answer your question
Yes.
simply, I to look at the actors. Who are the actors? They are ignorant people who misinterpret the texts.
So now, where is the position of leaders of all the faiths?
They have to come to the
Interact.
fore now. The leaders have to come to the fore. That is, let me say what you want me to say, which is correct. Seriously speaking, the leaders have to come to the fore and take back the narrative, because these ignorant people have actually succeeded in stealing the narrative.
Exactly.
We have to seize it back from them. And that is one of the reasons why I accepted to come to this program.
Right.
You see, in spite of all my schedules,
Yeah.
in fact, I had another live program
Okay.
in Kaduna today before coming.
All right.
But I wanted to come because I felt we had to take back the narrative
Okay.
that we are the Shiites.
All right.
And Shiism has nothing in common with what IMN is doing.
IMN.
There is an existential threat we are facing now. And before we conclude this program, I don't know when it's going to come.
Well, we're just about rounding up.
Yeah,
Just a few minutes.
I want to make
Just a
a
couple
very,
of
very
minutes.
important point.
Right.
The Nigerian state, and I'm very serious about this,
Right.
the Nigerian state must do everything to preserve its sovereignty.
Okay.
it has to be independent of all other governments in this world. Now, in this regard, the Nigerian state must tell the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to hands off Iran, Nigeria. Hands off Nigeria.
Fine. Your closing comments as we round off this segment?
Well, both of us also belong to the peace community.
Right.
I'm a peace ambassador.
Okay.
So we are discussing so much about religious issue, inter and intra faith matters. As he said, our security and our government are more of reactions. Proactive is necessary.
Okay.
Also, the narrative within the Islamic scholars and within the religious people, not only Islamic scholars, has to be changed.
Okay.
Also, the government need to reach all other groups within one organization very quick before the time elapses their hands.
Okay, so it is on this point we'll have to thank you both for coming on this program. Sheikh Salih Zaria, Secretary General, RASULUL Azam Foundation, thank you for being here. And Sheikh Hamza Muhammad Lawal, Secretary General, THAQALYN Cultural Foundation. We thank you for...
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Well, we still have another issue tonight on NG Tuesday Live, and it has to do with revolution. Revolution, did I hear you say? In the face of national security. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Nigerians, our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning